Hey, MC Shawn Love, back with the new series, Vinyl Hip Hop Reviews. And for the first episode here, we're going to be talking about why vinyl. Yeah, man, I started out as a kid buying vinyl. 1983 Fat Boys was my first piece. That's corny, I guess kind of a corny piece to have as your first piece, but fuck you, Disorderlies, and Crush Groove. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, the way that we've listened to music over the years has changed, and not in a good way, in my opinion. I know you can have 20,000 songs on a little piece of equipment this big right now, and back in the day, we used to have huge fucking humongous records like this, you know, as big as your face and your shoulders and shit. We used to have these just to play some music, and that took up a lot of space. Like what you see behind me is like maybe a third of what I've got, and a lot of this, I'd say 80% of it, is just for sampling, you know, and shit that I sampled that I grew up loving and I want to keep and I will never want to let go of. And then more like 20% of it is just records that I've listened to, and 90% of that is hip-hop shit that I love from the past, you know? Records starting in the early 80s and ending in the late 90s, and just my favorite body of hip-hop, you know? All the records I know I'm going to be playing again and again and again until I'm a decomposing corpse. That's the shit that I collect vinyl-wise. But this show, in particular, is about vinyl reviews. You know, what's worth spending 20 or 30 or 40 or $50 on, and I'm going to tell you what's good and what's bad. I'm going to tell you what's worth your money, you know, because once you get a piece of vinyl, especially nowadays, if you're buying a new piece of vinyl, a new release, you're making an investment. It's the most expensive way to buy music. It's the cream of the crop, Class A master race of music purchasing, owning, and listening. Vinyl. And here's why. I know you can't carry it around with you on a square this big, or go on a run with it, or play it in your car, and I guess those could be looked at as cons, but I'm saying those are all the pros of vinyl. It's a time when we used to sit down and play records. You want to go over my house and listen to records? And you know, that was it. There was no visual representation of what we were looking at, listening to, except for, of course, the all-important cover. And that brings me to pro number 2. Vinyls have got these big, beautiful covers. I mean, back in the day, man, I mean, artists used to make a statement out of their covers, you know? Like, I'll give you some examples here. Get a load of these. So I remember very early on, for sampling purposes, DJing purposes, we would collect these ultimate street beat and break records, and every single one of them had something on them, an image that, you know, you just couldn't stop staring at, man. And something that represented the times and the style of the culture, similar to what you see on a flyer, you know? I mean, and this is going on one side of the spectrum, but the other side of the spectrum, when you're not looking at vinyl and you're not looking at compilation albums, these artists reinforce their brands, the mood of their music. There was an additive to their music just based on the art that was on the cover, you know? So nowadays, you're listening to MP3 files, you see a picture this fucking big on your screen for a second, and then the artist loses that impact of their physical representation of their album or their body of work. That's gone. You know, that's why white labels, black labels, little circle with some information on it wasn't anywhere near as powerful as an album cover, you know? You go back and you look at these pictures of the artists at the time they were performing their music. You put it on and it's like you're at the show, you know? And you own that experience. You could save it away for another 20 or 30 years from now, or pass it on to your kids. You know, fuck a playlist. The elegance and the hands-on exclusivity of having a piece of vinyl where you had to go to a place like your home or somewhere else and really put it on and listen to it. You know, it wasn't something that was so easily accessible to you. It wasn't something that you could have any minute of the day. It was something you could look forward to. And be in a place where you thumbed through your different pieces and decided to just make an activity out of choosing your music and sitting down, chilling and listening to it. You know, changing your mood, you actually have to physically pick up this piece of music and then put it on and handle its hands-on. The origins of recorded music basically begin with vinyl. So if you look back and you want to try to find the earliest music you can find, you know, chances are that if it's not now and it's been transferred somehow, it was originally on a vinyl. all those things, that history of music, your parents and your parents' parents out there looking for that wax, you know, so they could take that experience home with them. The experience of being, sometimes it's the experience of being out live and watching a band play and listening to them, and they can take that home with them in a situation like this. Or sometimes it was just the best capturing of that recorded music. You know, when you play it now, it sounds a hell of a lot better, a hell of a lot warmer, a hell of a lot richer than a fucking MP3 file that you're listening to on your goddamn head. Another pro of vinyl is it weeds out amateurs easily, right? So let's just say you're into a certain type of music, like independent hip-hop, for example. The chances are exponentially higher that you're going to get a quality piece of music when you spend it on vinyl, you know, and you say, hey, I'm going to order this vinyl, because that artist that put that vinyl out that you've got to purchase now had to go through some hardcore nuts and bolts of the music industry. Even on the tiniest, smallest faction, they had to go through a process that cost fucking money, right? Any asshole who's got a resource like a recording setup and somebody who knows how to upload music can and create a picture somehow with a damn iPhone, right, can put out a single or put out an LP. Anybody can do that digitally for virtually no money, right? But in order to have a piece of vinyl pressed up, not only do you have to have the money to actually press up the vinyl, you have to have the money to get the songs mastered for vinyl, money to have a decent looking cover to be designed, and also edited and changed in a way that's going to look presentable on this large of a surface. A lot of work goes into this shit, and it cuts the little guys off. You know, those little motherfuckers that are sitting in their houses, their mom's basements or their apartments, and they're putting together these full-fledged projects, you know, on their computers, right? Get the fuck out of here with that amateur shit. You know, you get a vinyl every once in a while from somebody who threw some money on it themselves, and their music might not be very good, but most of the time it's either a collection of people or a small label or one person who decides, hey, I'm going to put the money out on this because I believe in it and this music moves me. And that experience usually transcends into the vinyl. So where you can find 10,000 no-name, no-game motherfuckers on the internet easily and download their full projects, when you go purchase that vinyl, you got to understand at least some organization, some planning, some care, and importantly, some money went into this piece of music that you're purchasing. Somebody else believed in it. It moved somebody else enough to open their wallets in a big way to get a project finalized and out there to be in your hands. Vinyl's great because it's more expensive, okay? Because when music's free, it loses its value. So yeah, you could go online and you could download the brand new Grand Poobah album for free. You could download all the shit that you want for free. Right off the top, I can tell you from the beginning that makes the music lose its value, not just for the artist because they're not getting your money, but for you, the listener, and the consumer. You don't value something you haven't paid for as much as you value something you've shelled out some money. And when you shell out some money, most wise people make a decision, right? So now it puts you in a situation where you get to perform another activity because of your vinyl. You get to show up at the record store. You get to You get to show up at the record store, sit there and weigh your options. Look at the beauty of the cover, look at the year that the album was made, spend time weighing your decisions and saying, hey man, I gotta get this one. I can only afford 3, so I'm not gonna get these other 6, but I'm gonna get these 3, man. I'm gonna take them home and I'm gonna play them over and over and over. I own this now, man. I gotta get my money's worth. Vinyl's more collectible than MP3 file. Fuck your hard drives filled with shit. I mean, when you own a piece of something, the Western God could wash everything away from the shores and everything could be gone. But all we really need is so in other words, if the internet breaks, all we ever need is these pieces of plastic and our setups and a little electricity, man. And we've got our bare bones setup. If anything we'd ever need in order to enjoy this music forever. You know, the internet goes down, you lose your hard drive. Your hard drive breaks, you lose the file, it's corrupted, some new fucking format says you can't play it, it's been translated down a million different generational times and compressed and crunched to the point where that soul isn't really in there anymore the way it was when it was first put out on vinyl. Besides it being sonically better, besides it being more expensive and therefore making you place more value on the music that you enjoy and listen to, besides the fact that it's been around a lot longer, besides the fact that no other format of releasing audio has ever topped it, besides the fact that it's a listening and sitting experience that you can turn listening to music into an activity, right? selecting your music, going through and admiring your own collection and admiring the memories that you made when you were listening to that music, or the feelings you felt at the time you first purchased it or was really into it, and going back at any time and selecting it, and every single thing from the artwork on the front to the way that it feels to the way that it smells connects to that music that's in your mind. If you're going to invest in the idea that music has the power to change your mood, uplift your spirits, and at the same time maybe bring your spirits down, you don't want it to be a fucking hodgepodge of pig feet and pork and disgusting innards of chickens on your fucking iPad when you just say shuffle and you just sit there and await whatever the goddamn world full of amateur hacks has to bring upon your face. A survival of the fittest, man. You know, these assholes that are putting out music and calling themselves bassists, vocalists, rappers, lyricists, beat makers, you know, they kind of get cut off, and natural selection takes over when the money that it costs to put out one of these pieces of plastic comes into the scenario. So automatically, I know, even if it's some asshole I've never heard of, if they put the time into making a cool cover, if the titles of their tracks look pretty good, if it was produced in New York, or Germany in 2015, I know it cost them a lot of money to put this damn thing together, and they want to attract me to listening to their music and giving their message and their feelings a chance, right? You know, I don't have the same respect for people that put some shit together on their computer, come up with some goddamn cover in Photoshop with some letters, and then throw it out there like they're tossing turds into rainbows. The artists behind these things, especially today, commit more of their money, more of their time, more of their heart, soul, and spirit into creating a lasting piece of music like a vinyl record. And so on this show, on this series, what we're going to be doing one by one, we're going to be going through mostly hip-hop, new vinyl records, and I'm going to be giving you guys reviews and telling you if I think this new release is worth the money or not. We're going to start in episode 2 with a surprise. We're going to start on episode 2 with a surprise vinyl that's relatively recent. I mean, in the world of vinyl, something 5 years old is relatively recent. But we're going to start with something new, and I'm going to keep going boom, 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 one after the other. We're talking about rare hip-hop albums from the late 80s and the early 90s. Stuff that you might not be able to get your hands on. Stuff that might not be converted properly to a good listenable file on the internet. We're talking about independent artists, be they hip-hop or otherwise, that really, really, really have offered something up in the format of vinyl. And it might be being missed because they're not flooding the goddamn internet with it. We're talking about you. You know, all you got to do is personal message me, right? Or LOVBLOG, loveblog@gmail.com. Please send me your vinyls and I do a thorough review. So if I receive it in my mail, if I open it up in the mailbox, guaranteed review. May not be that same day, may not be that same week, will probably be that same month. Guaranteed vinyl review. Send me your vinyls. I'd love to listen to them. When you spend some time with these records, you know, whether it be at night when you have a little time to yourself, whether it be in an afternoon if you could squeeze in a little personal listening session, it's always a little bit more special when it comes to these pieces of plastic than it is to those goddamn files. It's not as elegant, not as beautiful, it's not as committed a format of making or listening to music. Join me in episode 2 when we review our first hip-hop vinyl. Come on, guys, let's put our hands on the music. Peace!